So we're talking about this certain place, talking about the realms. That's where Adam fell from, right? And even when you talk about the trees in the garden, what were these trees? He said, hey, you can eat from this tree, this tree, this tree, but those tree over there, these were angels. There were certain angels we can counsel with. So what he did, Adam got kicked out of the realms. He was there, he was at that certain state of consciousness. So that knowledge passed all the way down. Noah, Shem, all the way down to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They knew it. They understood it. All of them had the knowledge to get to God, right? So that certain place is here. It's a place of meditation where you ascend, where you transcend to the realms, right? It says, and tarried there all night because the sun was set, and he took off the stones of that place. He took off the stones, right? And this is very important. He took off the stones, plural. He took off the stones of that place and put them for his pillows. Pillow is something you place at where? Your head, right? It says, and lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed, motherfucker. It says, and he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set upon the earth. A ladder. What is that? What is this? It's a staircase. But it's not from the earth, as in from the dust of the ground. It's from here. The willpower of man is in the soul. Right? So it's from here. It's an ascension going up to the heavens. So the scripture calls this a door. We call it portal. It's the same thing. Now there's a door between the realms. You have the realm of light and the realm of darkness. The kingdom of light, the kingdom of darkness. Right? There's a door. Light is a door. It's the opening of the door. Darkness is the closing of the door. This is why the soul has to wrestle between righteousness and unrighteousness. Because righteousness, when the vessel is holy, it shines that light. It opens that portal to do what? Transcend consciousness. You go before the throne. This was the duty of the priest. Matter of fact, let's go to Exodus chapter 28 and verse 29. It says, and Aaron shall bear the names of the children of Israel in the breastplate of the judgment upon his heart when he goeth in unto the holy place for a memorial before the Lord continually. So he was going to the physical temple. Physically, he was doing this. But Isaac, Abraham, Noah, Adam, they was going there through meditation. Melchizedek passed down this knowledge. Let's go to verse 35. It says, and it shall be upon Aaron to minister. To minister. So just as Aaron ministered in the holy place, guess what? In meditation, you go into that holy place. You counsel. You go before the throne. You're entering into the throne room. You present your case before the Most High. It says, and his sound shall be heard when he goeth in unto the holy place before the Lord. All right, so verse 38 says, and it shall be upon Aaron's forehead, that Aaron may bear the iniquity of the holy things which the children of Israel shall hallow in all their holy gifts. And it shall be always upon his forehead, that they may be accepted before the Lord. So the stones were a very precious thing. So let's go back to Genesis chapter 28. It says, And he lighted upon a certain place, and tarried there all night, because the sun was set. And he took off the stones, plural, more than one, and put them for his pillows. Pillow is something you place at the head, right? So it is at the head of Jacob. And lay down in that place to sleep. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder, a staircase, an ascension set upon the earth, and the top of it reached to the heaven. It says, and behold, the angels of God ascending and descending on it. What does this sound familiar to? The book of John, chapter 1 and verse 51. It says, and he saith unto him, verily, verily, I say unto you, hereafter ye shall see heaven open. Not the skies up there. It says, hereafter ye shall see heaven open, and the angels of God ascending and descending upon the Son of Man. So you see what that staircase was about? It goes back to what I said about light and dark. Light is the opening of the door. Darkness is the closing of the door. This is why this society is designed to keep us in sin. It's designed to keep us living in darkness. So the more we are in darkness, guess what? Is the further we are away, are out of alignment with the higher realm of consciousness. You see, you have the first man and the second man. All of us has to go through that process. We all have to go through that process. Adam, the first man, Adam, he was being prepared. He got the breath of God. He had the breath of the Most High, the wisdom of the Most High, the knowledge, the understanding. He had the guidance as how to live according to certain statutes, ordinance, judgments. So he could make himself a holy tabernacle, the holy temple, for the spirit, for that eternal spirit to dwell in him. That's why he was in the realms. We have to go through that process. It has to be the natural man first, and then that spirit would descend and dwell in him. That's why it's called the fall of Adam. He fell from that state. He fell from the realms. He got kicked out of that garden, kicked out of the realms. This is why another temple was prepared. Yahweh Shai was that second temple, that second tabernacle, to host the Son of God. The Son of God is not born. It is created. And it is created to dwell in man. Because what is man? Man is a habitation of all dimensions. The greatest thing in creation is man. The highest thing in creation is man. This is why even the enemy, the spiritual enemy, envies. Because not even Satan is made in the image of God. Of all that was created, the only thing created in the image of God was man. Man is a habitation for spirits. We have something called the soul. What is the soul comprised of? Two things, the spirit and flesh. They are interwoven together, and that's where you get the soul. The spirit is a habitation for light, creatures of light. The flesh is a habitation. It's a dwelling place. It's a place for what? Creatures of the kingdom of darkness. They dwell in the flesh. Fear, anxiety, depression, all of those things. The spirit does not know it. The spirit does not know them. It is the flesh. This is why after Adam got kicked out of the realms, guess what happened? Fear came. He was afraid. All the habitations are in man. He said, let us have dominion over the fishes of the sea, the fowl of the air, the beasts of the earth. 3 dimensions. He wasn't talking about the regular fish in the sea. He wasn't talking about the regular beasts of the earth. He wasn't talking about the regular birds in the heavens. These are creatures. The water in us is a habitation for the spirits of water. The earth in us is a habitation for what? Creatures of the earth. Spirits element. Right. Exactly. And the air, the fowls of the air, the fowls of heaven, they are also creatures. They represent the mental state of man. The electrical impulses, the neurons, as scientists would call it, they can alter these things. This is why Satan, what he does is what? He either seduces or manipulates. Because he does not have the authority that man has. The authority that has been given to man is the highest authority. And in order for you to lose that position, you have to transgress. This is why he's crafty. This is why he's cunning. He encircles. What does a serpent do? It encircles the prey. And once it traps you, you can no longer get away from it. So how does the serpent encircle you? Cunningly, through knowledge. Surpasses you with their intelligence. Wrap around you. And overpower you. So the serpent is a very intelligent creature. Exactly. Desire. Desire is of the flesh. It says that which is of the flesh is of the flesh. Let's go to John chapter 3 and verse 6. It says, that which is born of the flesh is flesh, and that which is born of the spirit is spirit. So the flesh is a habitation, emotions that take over man's mind. Right. And this is why it's also important to, when you're getting into relationships, to know who you're getting in relationships with. Because when you want to be in spiritual alignment with the higher consciousness, if the person you are with is out of alignment, that can make you very vulnerable. Because of your cares for the flesh, whether it be relationships, family, jobs, whatever you are attached to. Because attachment is mental. You're mentally attached, not physically. Physically, you can go everywhere, anywhere. But mentally, you grab hold onto these things. So the serpent is going to break you through whatever you are attached to. It's going to make you fight for it. So you're investing your spiritual energies into these things. So what it's doing is weakening your spiritual fire. Weaknesses. Exactly. So if you are not wise to these, that's how they overpower you. You see, this is why they couldn't conquer Job. Because Job understood the nature of the Most High, and this is where people fall short. They do not understand the nature of God. Matter of fact, let's go to the book of Isaiah chapter 45 and verse 17. verse 7. Um, it says, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do these things. Who made these two realms? The Most High made these two realms. And what are in these two realms? Peace is in the realm of light. And in man is in the realm of the spirit. It's the spirit in man that is peace. Once that door of peace is closed, guess what? It's going to be misery. Darkness. Darkness is misery. You're in captivity of your own mind. It becomes a prison. It becomes a prison. Right? So let's go back to Genesis chapter 28. And we're going to go to verse 13. It says, and behold, the Lord stood above it and said, I am the Lord God of Abraham thy father, and the God of Isaac. The land whereon thou liest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed. And thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And in thee and in thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed. Verse 15. And behold, I am with thee, and will keep thee in all places whither thou goest, and will bring thee again into this land. For I will not leave thee until I have done that which I have spoken to thee of. And Jacob awaked out of his sleep, and he said, surely the Lord is in this place. In what place? Is it just the physical land of Canaan? No, this is the place. This is where he dwells. This is where the heaven is, the internal heaven. And this is the only doorway, this is the only portal you can use to get to him. Flesh and blood cannot ascend. Right? Flesh and blood cannot ascend. It is the spirit of man that transcends the realms. So just as you can go there and you can kick out serpents and scorpions, guess what? You can also get overpowered, just as Adam. So it's good when you have your circle outside of objects and crooked doorways. Right. But when you say crooked doorways, what are we talking about? Because sometimes there are natural ways to get to God as living creatures that they call witchcraft. Like stones, because what we saw here, Jacob was using stones. Right? What kind of stone? When you look at the stones here, it's talking about carbuncle. This is talking about what? What is a carbuncle stone? What were the stones? Because it mentioned that he had stones. What were the 12 stones that the priests were wearing on their the thing? The ephod thing. They were wearing 12 stones. The carbuncle was in the first row. Oh, through familiar spirits. Oh, okay. Yeah, yes. I understand. Yeah, the Most High doesn't want us to go through that portal, manipulating things, manipulating nature to get desired results and so forth. The Most High doesn't want us to get into that. Right. So he says, surely the Lord is in this place, and I knew it not. And he was afraid and said, how dreadful is this place? This is none other but the house of God. The house of God. The house of God. Your consciousness. This is where you house the creatures of light. So Raphael, for example, healing. That's a creature, that's a spirit from the Most High. Different attributes of the Most High, you can host them, but the vessel has to be prepared and it has to be pure. So think about from the time that he gave Adam his wisdom, and Adam had to live until the appointed time for what? For that spirit to dwell upon him. It's the same way Yahweh Shai. He had to do what? Go through 30 years of learning. From 12 years old, he was he was going to the temples, talking with the lawyers, the Levites, studying the law. Because there's one thing to read the law, and there's another thing to study the law. So he had to go through that process. So it's the same with us. When the Holy Spirit comes, it helps you to walk accordingly. But after walking, Shalom nature, it helps you to walk accordingly. But afterwards, that's when the real thing comes. This is why we have to be baptized with fire. Like we mentioned earlier about attachments, as soon as we start going through tribulations, trials, we start turning our backs on the Most High, like Job's wife. You lost your wealth, you turn your back on the Most High. You lost your car, you turn your back on the Most High. You lost your relationship, you turn it. That was a belief. You never had a faith. You have to have the faith of God. Emmanuel. What is Aman? Faith. What is El? God. It is the faith of God. The faith of Christ. The faith of the Anointed One. We have to cultivate our beliefs into faith. And that only happens through the process of our trials, our tribulations, and so forth. Let us go to the book of wisdom of, what is it? Ecclesiasticus, chapter 2, verse 1. Let's go to the book of Ecclesiasticus. Because our mental attachments is going to be a hindrance, a stumbling block between us and the Most High. It says, my son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. So nobody said this road would be easy. It's either we're going to be cleaving to the Most High, or we're going to be cleaving to our attachments here in this world. This is why he said his kingdom is not of this world. Look at the people in California losing their homes. A lot of people are going crazy. It's good to have your achievements, but it's also good to be able to walk away from anything without having to look back, without it break you to the point where it's like you're doomed. Sometimes you have to give up certain things. Sometimes you have to lose your life to save it. But we have to understand the nature of our God. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 28 and finish off. Verse 17 says, and he was afraid and said, how dreadful is this place? This is none other but the house of God, and this is the gate of heaven. Where is the gate of heaven? Is there a gate up there that you're going to enter through? No. The light is the gate of heaven. The light is the opening, the entrance to the door. It's here. It says, the scripture says, the kingdom of God is within. So if the kingdom is within, what other gates are we looking for? some chariots gonna descend from the heavens and take us up and go through a portal and leave what in the earth? Because earth is the only place where life is on a cycle, where life continues. Even in the prayer, what you pray, thy kingdom come. So if the kingdom is coming here, where are you actually going? Earth is the only place where you have life source, real life source. You don't need to be walking around with oxygen tanks or masks and helmets and all of these things. This is forever. The inhabitants can be destroyed, but the earth abided forever. Verse 18 says, and Jacob rose up early in the morning and took this stone. Now remember, earlier it says stones, plural. But here it says stone, singular. Who is this stone, or what is this stone? Shalom Monique KM. Who is this stone, or what is this stone? Because first there were many stones. They were plural. Now it's just one stone. It says, and Jacob rose up early in the morning and took the stone that he had put for his pillars. Pillar is something that you place as at the head, right? Who is the head of man? What is the head of man? So you see, the stone that Adam and the rest of them refused, Jacob accepted, Abraham accepted, Isaac accepted, the righteous forefathers, Noah accepted. So just as Adam refused the stone back in the beginning, is the same way the priest refused that stone. That's the stone that the builders refused. That stone was rejected. The same stone, that same rock that Moses was commanded to speak to. That rock is the Spirit from God. That rock is the Mashiach. He says, and set it up for a pillar. You know what a pillar is? A pillar is something that you use to hold up concrete infrastructures, concrete buildings, structures. So can you imagine how firm and strong that is? That's how he is when he's placed at our head, at our states of consciousness. It is the light, so we do not stumble. It is the staircase, so we can transcend into the realms. Shalom, Cheryl James. And Cheryl James, stop in.
I'm Sherry.
Oh. Go on, Cheryl. Shalom, welcome. Right. It says, and pour oil upon the top of it. So you're dealing with an altar. You have the stones. He was into meditation. He was into prayer. He added anointing oil. That means he was setting up an altar. So you see, altar was something that you didn't need a temple. Physically, you didn't need a temple for that, because they were raising altar from the beginning. You don't need a physical temple, because guess what? Your state of consciousness. You are that holy tabernacle. So everyone understood this way to get to God. Like I said, there's a relationship between God and his living creatures. That's what you see from Genesis all the way down in the Old Testament. But coming over to the New Testament, there's a relationship with God as a father to us. as sons. Daughters of Zion, welcome Nikki, Shalom. Daughters of Zion, sons of Jacob, there's a relationship to God as a father. That's the whole purpose of the Mashiach that people cannot understand. When you go from Genesis to what? Malachi, you know what you'll never find? You will never find the Most High referring to anyone from Adam, from Noah, Abraham, coming all the way down as a son. You will see where he says, I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But you never hear he says, I am the father of Abraham. I am the father of Isaac. I am the father of Jacob. Never. This is something that we need to understand. It is through the Hamashiach we become sons. And through him, you can ascend, you can transcend to the realms without using objects, stones, statutes, rituals, ordinances. Because he opened the door, he opened the portal. He was that staircase that the Son of Man would descend and ascend upon. He is that light. That light is the opening portal, the opening door. My mind is open. Shalom, Goddess, under G. That's good. It has to be opened. You have to be able to contemplate, to meditate. Meditate on the higher states of consciousness, the codes, the laws of the Most High. You have to be living in alignment with your spirituality, alignment with your culture. Your culture and your spirituality is one and the same. And once you are in alignment with that, it takes you on a path to transcend to your God, to your Father. Let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 1, and verse 1. It says, Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight is in the law of the Lord. You take pleasure in the alignment of the Most High. All praises, Goddess. We have to learn to be in alignment. The thing is, there's a battle between the light and dark inside of us. There's a battle between the spirit and the flesh. Matter of fact, let's go to the book of Galatians, chapter 5. Galatians chapter 5. It says, verse 17. For the flesh, Christ consciousness. That's it. That's where we need to get to, that consciousness. We have to keep this vessel clean, pure, set apart for that consciousness, for that spirit to descend. We have to keep that doorway open so there can be activity, there can be movement. And this is where you counsel with the angels of the Most High. That's the realm where Adam was. That's where he fell from. He got specific instructions. Eat from this tree, meaning counsel with these angels. It is good for food. What food? Food for thought, food for the mind, food for the spirit. But do not counsel with these over here. Simple instructions. So it says, verse 17, for the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. And these are contrary the one to the other. So guess where this war is taking place? In man. Man is the habitation for all spirits. whether it be spirits from the water, spirits from the earth, spirits from the air. Man is the habitation for that. So the purpose we were created was to have dominion over the very elements we were created from. In our mind, in our spirit, because the spirit transcends the mind. That is the dominion that we're supposed to have. So once you start to understand the nature of yourself, matter of fact, let's go to the book of John chapter 8 and verse 32. Because this is where the problem is. It's John chapter 8 and verse 32. Thank you, Goddess and the Grind. It says, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. There you go. The truth shall make you free. What truth? You see, there are two. We have to have internal truth, and this is what most of us do not have. You have to have the truth of the knowledge of yourself, the truth of the knowledge of your soul, the truth of the knowledge of your spirit, and it would be a witness with the supreme consciousness, the supreme truth, the supreme knowledge of the Most High. We know a lot of people know the external truths. They know everything about the world, but what they don't know is the nature of their own selves. This is why when you're in situations, you say, okay, when you're not in a certain situation, you say, okay, I would not do that if I was there. But when you get placed in that same situation, you do the very thing that you said you wouldn't do. Because you have not come to the truth of your own self. Thank you very much, Goddess and the Grind. You have not come to the truth of your own self. So, in order for us to find God, who do we have to find first? We have to find the truth of the nature of our very existence. When you do not find that truth, you exactly ourselves. This is why it says, examine, what is it, 2 Corinthians 13 verse 5? Examine yourselves. Examine ourselves. If we are not going through that examination process, how are we going to? All praises, all praises. If we're not going through that examination process every day, how are we going to come to the truth of it? How are we going to come to the knowledge of the truth? That's all we have to do. Examine ourselves. That is all we need to do. Because our behavior, sometimes what you cannot see is the beliefs that we hold. Because sometimes subconsciously, we might hold beliefs that we are not aware of. This is why it's called subconscious. And then there's a deeper layer, unconscious. These are things that are buried, things that we try to forget about. We turn a blind eye to it. We pretend as if that darkness does not exist in us. But you know what happens? When external situations trigger those unconscious memory, it gets awakened. When all that vibrations come into manifestation, you cannot control, or you don't know how you're going to react. So you behave in ways that you end up surprise your own selves. You surprise your own self. All praises, Goddess on the Grind. Welcome, welcome. Kiki, the beloved. You don't want to be put in a position where you keep surprising yourself. Oh, some people would say, okay, I would never call another woman. But as soon as you encounter a certain relationship where you're deeply connected to the person and your jealousy has been provoked, guess what? You get into the phone, you take number, and you call that person. You surprise yourself because you thought that you'd never do that. You have to allow yourself to grow, and you need proper examination. because you don't understand that you have different selves in different situations. What do I mean? Sometimes you're being single for so long, and when I say single, okay, sometimes you're being in relationships that you're not really connected emotionally. Your mind is not checked into that relationship, so it's just a physical thing, a time being, right? But then you get into a certain relationship where the person went beyond your vulnerable points, so now you're mentally checked in. You don't know that new self. You know the self when you were in relationships where you're not attached. So you have to learn yourself when you start to get into relationships where you're attached to, where you feel something deeper than the usual. And this is why we surprise ourselves sometimes, because when you are in those type of relationships, guess what? You were never provoked to jealousy. It doesn't matter how many people you see that you're partner with. It doesn't provoke the jealousy in you because intimacy was never involved. But when intimacy comes, guess what? The soul is awakened. Different versions of ourselves resurrect. Versions that we didn't know exist. Versions that we didn't even know that we could ever find again. Because maybe we had our hearts broken, 20 years ago, and we tried to forget it. We never went through the proper healing process. We never went through the proper examination process. We never had somebody to guide us. So the only thing we do was what? Drink, smoke, party, going through, forcing things out of awareness. That was our method of healing back then. We tried to force things out of awareness. Dance the night away, drink the night away. Relationships, shopping, retail therapy. That is what we're familiar with. So now we're coming to the knowledge, the consciousness of our true selves. All praises, Goddess on the grind. So we have to know our internal truth. We have to know our conscious self, meaning that the foundation, the rock that we're built upon. That means when you say this is exactly what you mean. It doesn't matter what the external situation is. It doesn't matter if it's fire. It doesn't matter if it's flood. It doesn't matter if it's earthquake. This is who you are. You're fixed. You do not change by the external events happening. He says, I am Yahweh, I am the Lord, I change not. So you have to have that foundation that never changes. Even when the external realities are changing, are altering, different seasons, times, events, but you remain static, you remain fixed. You have to have a foundation that the waters from the ocean cannot destroy. We're not building mansions upon sands. We're building upon rock, and the word is the rock. The spirit is that firmness. Okay, another 10 minutes, and hopefully another time we can do this again. I'm gonna go on the road. Someone is waiting for me. And hopefully you guys get our house built on the rock is us. Exactly. Is us. That consciousness, we have to be firm in our beliefs. And through life's experiences, that's how you cultivate that into a faith that never alters. Through trials, tribulations, temptations, downfalls. Yes, the body is the house. It is the tabernacle, it's the temple. And we keep it pure, we keep it clean to house the other creatures of light to strengthen us. So when you pray, when you're in a certain situation, guess what? You pray for certain angels. The Most High, you pray to summon these angels. So the Most High will send the specific angel to the specific situation you are in. So for example, if you are in a certain war, who do you need? You need Michael. You need the warrior of the Most High. If you need a message from the Most High, if you need revelations, who you need? You need Raphael. Not Raphael, Gabriel. If you have infirmities in your body, if you're sick, who do you need? You need Raphael. You need the healing of the Most High. You need that power. You need to have those spirits of light, creatures of light in us. We have the habitation of light. This is where those creatures come and abode. But we have to make our vessels pure enough to host these creatures when they come. Sometimes it's our own flesh, hindrance. All praises, Goddess. All praises. Sometimes it is our own flesh hindering our prayers. You cannot cast out a demon that you're still serving. You cannot cast out the darkness that you're still walking in. The heavens want to appoint your prayer and appoint your healing, your deliverance, whatever you're asking for. The heavens want to appoint it. But your flesh, the darkness, is too strong. The light cannot fight that darkness. It's just like, think about Abraham when he was in the land of Ur. All those people were in darkness. You cannot receive your blessings in darkness. Sometimes you have to change your life. Sometimes you have to change the people you are around. And sometimes that can even be family. Sometimes it can be relationships. Matter of fact, most times, because in a lot of cases, you are not attached to your family. You're attached to your relationships. So you have to know your weaknesses, because Satan is going to try to find it. He's going to sift you. You know, like what he wanted to do with, I think, Peter, sift you. I'm glad you joined Goddess on the Grind. I see you're in alignment. The flesh has the flesh has its own mind. It is only as strong as the power we give to it, right? And the power is in our attention. The power is in our attention, whatever you give your attention to. Because when you think about attention, you're attending to something. It means you're coming away from yourself. You're coming away from the portal of the Most High, the consciousness. And you're giving over your power, your attention. So guess what? Two creatures are inside of us, light and dark. Whichever one you feed, that one becomes more powerful. If you feed the flesh is going to outpower the spirit. And if you feed the spirit is going to outpower. So you're going to choose to either walk in darkness or walk in light. We have to be able to discern our spirit and our flesh. Right. And the way for us to discern is through our behaviors. This is why it says, examine yourselves. Examine yourselves. What do you have to examine? Your behavior. Because sometimes you don't know the belief you hold on to. Because some of them are subconscious. Some of them have to be triggered before you can be aware of it. But when you behave in a certain way, and sometimes you have to listen to the people around. Because you might not perceive that that's what you're doing. But this person tell you, hey, you're prideful. And then another person that does not know this person tells you the same thing. But because you don't see it, but the fact that two different people say it, it means that you should look into it. It's going to end now. Thank you guys for joining in. Thank you, Goddess on the Grind. It's going to end in 5 minutes.